Thank you. I don't think I've ever done it with a microphone before, or had to have a clock behind me going away. So I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Paul Musgrove. Better not stand with my hand on my hip. I'm a stationer. Not very exciting, and it's a profession that, by the way, I'm also a liveryman of Stationers' Hall and a freeman of the City of London. And our trade's been around since 1403. Our livery was founded in 1403, and if you want to see the halls, they're just at the side of St Paul's Cathedral. Some of you I know have been there. So we've seen the odd bit of change since 1403. You know, we invented the pen, and various other things have come along during that time. And Stationers' Hall, we get sort of gatherings of people who remember the good old days. Thankfully, most of them are dying off now, which is a good thing, because they do get a bit boring about it all. But nonetheless, it's a fantastic thing if you get to go and see it. So my involvement there was brought about basically because of the thing I've just done with our industry. And you have to be invited to be a liveryman. There are only, at any one time, 900 people allowed to be a liveryman. So you are waiting for dead men's shoes. You know, they can't just keep inviting people. So quite an exciting thing. My mother loved it to death when we went and did the robing. And as a miner's son from Nottinghamshire, it's quite unusual to be at a court in the middle of London being robed to be a liveryman. And it was a great day, and to tell you the nostalgia that's in the building, I asked the clerk if we could see something from the archives. And some of you may never know, but we were responsible for copyright in the UK up until the First World War. So everything that was printed, we had to approve. To be honest, we stopped doing it in the 1700s, but legally we were still doing it up to the First World War when the law was changed. And they got some documents out, and they brought out a book of minutes of meetings. And it was probably about yay wide, and a nice 9-inch sort of thick book, opened it up, and showed us the minutes of the meeting following the fire of London. The genuine article, which is quite something. So stationers, we've been around a while. All of you use us, but none of you really know we exist. It's a really very unsexy industry, but for years we've had a fantastic living off the back of all of you. It's been great, so thank you for all of you. However, our industry's been changing, and it's been changing quite a lot of late, and particularly from about 2000 on, our industry started to change quite dramatically. And then people like Steve Jobs stand on stage and say, I've got one of these, and the world changes. And our industry has gone through massive change in the last 15 years. And the change that really hit us the most was not just the technology, but the mix of products that you use. It hit us quite badly. And so although we are stationers, you know, a member of the worshipful company of stationers and printers, we're not anymore. We're people who provide things for offices. And our future is not in providing ring binders and lever arch files. There's been coffee and iPhones and iPads and the like. So around 2000, our industry had some quite dramatic changes. And some of those changes came around because of the financial markets changed and technology changed. When I started my first office supplies business 25 years ago, we had in stock 8-inch floppy drives. Probably you don't really remember them, but we had 8-inch, yes, there's a few nodding heads. Yeah, 8-inch floppies. Our first computer that we ran the business on had no hard drive, and it had 2 floppies with the program on one and the data on the other. It was just horrifying. You look back now, and you know, my iPhone could land somebody on the moon, and was way cleverer than the stuff we had in the early days. But around 2000, things started to change. The product mix started to change. The banks took a turn against our industry, and they decided that basically we were junk stock, that our industry was dying, not quite as quick as the record industry, we were going to die. And so they forced our industry into some quite interesting changes in that overdrafts and loans disappeared and invoice discounting and factoring appeared. And that was the only option for finance in our industry. And those of you who look at the papers at the moment, you'll see that Office Max merged with Office Depot a few months ago, who've just been bought by Staples. our industry is in complete and utter meltdown in terms of those big players. So that started with the banks around 2000, the technology change around 2007, and Steve made a lot of changes to the world with the iPhone. And it changed our industry because of the technological shift, but also the immediacy of information. Nobody knew how much anything cost that we used to sell, and we used to hand you a big book and say, oh, you get X discount off that book, and you would go, brilliant, thank you, I'll buy from you. Of course, you can now on your mobile type the code number off any toner that you want and tell how much it is. So our pricing structure had to change quite quickly, and that took an enormous amount of margin out of the trade. So we looked at the trade, and I was on holiday, and you'll imagine how delighted my wife was. We were sat on a sun lounger in Morocco, and I only found out it was this little boutique hotel in Morocco. There's a guy swimming in the pool, and I know who he is. About a week later, I worked out it was Dermot O'Leary, you know, the Big Brother guy. Don't watch it, don't know him, but anyway. So I sat pondering the industry, how do we survive? And the problem with surviving is you have to re-engineer. And I came up with this idea that said, the problem for the stationery industry is every single dealer has its own back office system, it does its own customer service, it does its own purchasing, its own everything. And they're trying to support that on an ever decreasing scale of turnover. So what we did, or I did, I drew it on a piece of paper and said, if we could cloud compute a massive back office system that everybody could share, if we could have a cloud phone system that everybody could share, that had URL phones that would work anywhere in the world, and phone calls could be put through to anybody at any space. If we had a CRM system that we could operate centrally, with a marketing function we could operate centrally. If we could have one web store that had hundreds of fronts that were different, we could manage all of that for dealers and do it quicker, faster, cheaper than they possibly could. And one of the things we're currently exploring with Source is the RPAs. Robots will be fantastic for us. We came up with the idea, or I came up with the idea, it actually wouldn't work because cloud phones didn't exist and some of the other stuff I wanted didn't exist, but it came my way and you could see it coming. And when it did, our industry decided I'd gone start staring mad. It will never work, nobody will join it. It's not going to happen. We're currently growing at somewhere between £500,000 and £1 million a month. And we are adding in up to 5 dealers per month. We added 5 at the beginning of January. We've got 3 going live beginning of March. And we already have somebody lined up for May and June. So we are growing at that sort of volume per month in an industry that's going backwards. We expect to be 150 million turnover within 5 years, and that would make us, in terms of our industry, we are already probably the largest independent buying block in the UK in 4 years. In another 5 years we will be as big as Staples are today in the UK. So we have reinvented an industry that was dying on its feet. We are not stationers anymore, although I'm very proud to be a liveryman. We're people who provide things for offices, and our big push is now helping you be more productive and also get nice coffee. We're fed up of selling you cheap Maxwell House. We want to sell you little capsules that you all love and spend a lot of money on. So we're busy looking for new markets, we're busy looking for other verticals, and we're also looking at even data storage. We're talking to a company in Holland now where we can offer data storage, cloud data storage for you. So we have transformed an industry. We will continue to do that. It's quite exciting. We've got 3 or 4 people scrabbling to try and copy what we're doing now. We've got nobody close, so we've still got probably another 3 years running on our own. And I hope that we can continue to grow as we are. Our only issue to date is we've run out of chairs at the office. I'm negotiating with my next door neighbour to rent his offices as we speak because we've run out of chairs, and that's our only issue. So thank you, Eleanor, for inviting me. I didn't have a clue what I was going to say, but thank you all of you. Enjoy.